I gotta say, it is so refreshing to be able to just hop on stream after taking a nice warm shower. Like, I feel so good right now. Anyways, greetings, creatures and humans alike. I am MagiQDog, and tonight we shall be learning about scribble, drawing, scribble. We shall be learning about the elves. Alright, so let's go on ahead and get this class started, shall we? Elves are a humanoid type of Faes and one of the most popular and well-known mythical creatures told in world mythologies, with major roots in Germanic mythologies like Nordic. Elves in appearance have differentiated from the ancient past to modern times. While elves were similar in shape and form as humans, they are still Faes and as such have supernatural beauties or other strange appearances. Norse didn't seem to have much depictions of elves other than the fact that there were two type beings, the light and the dark elves, with the light elves having fair skin and beautiful appearances, while the dark elves had dark complexions because of them living underground. For other mythologies, it depends on the elf species, whether they were tiny like the Spae-wives or as tall as humans like the Woodland Elves, or having other features like backward feet with the Maa-Alused, or having narrow faces like the oh, and this is where I get some mispronunciations, the Manogemasak. They're a type of native elves. Like other humanoids, they wear clothing, though some are unique depending on the races. Now, we all know of the pointy ears, but Germanic myths didn't have elves with description of pointy ears at all. Shocking, I know. The pointy ears of elves first appear in art back at the Victorian era, where artists used the common trope of pointy ears in other mythical creatures for elves. So when we think about it, elves might have just looked like plain humans in a sense, except for the fair skin and otherworldly beauty. By the way, hey Way Dog, how you doing this fine night? Now, elves in mythology have a role as both kind-hearted beings of nature and mischievous or violent beings. Like some other creatures like fairies, seems to do multiple roles or behave depending on the elf itself. In Norse mythology, you have both the light and dark elves. Light elves are seen as benevolent guardians beings of nature where they live in the elven world Elphame. They also have a connection with the Vanir god Freyr, since he is a master of Elphame. There they reside and wait to be called upon by either the Aesir or Vanir Gods to aid in tasks or to be worshipped by humans as they view them as near godlike beings. Oh, I'm doing pretty good and stuff. Just talking about the elves. Now, dark elves, however, live in the far Elphame and stay away from the sunlight because they turn to stone like trolls. However, they are also respected for having power and wisdom that counters their light cousins. In other mythologies, elves seem to behave like fairies, as they could either be kind beings that help humans, like using their powers to heal the injured, offer blessings and protections, and sometimes even help inspire art and music. Others, however, are known to be mischievous and annoy humans. Then you have some that are straight up violent, where they'll kill humans and livestock if they are agitated by humans. In most cases though, elves are seen as supernatural beings of nature and live out of human societies in their own. Now, we know that there are multiple different kinds of elves in Europe, but elf-like beings are told in different corners of the world. Of course, you have the light and dark elves from Norse mythology that I spoke of earlier. Then you have some elves, let me rephrase that. Then you have some elf-like nature beings from Philippines, as in the pranksters Laa and pig-eating Annani. Next are the Elle Folk. They are elves that live deep in the Elmores in Danish myths. Even native cultures have elf-like beings, like the narrow-faced weaver Manogemasak and the little Egacuayak from the Yopins. I really hope I'm pronouncing those right. But from the Iceland female Spae-wives to the Estonian Maa-Alused or Alused that are subterranean spirits. Even Santa's got his gang of Christmas elves that help make his toys. Basically put, you could just find all kinds of elves. Thank you. Now, like other mythical creatures, elves have incredible powers and abilities that are told in myth and legends. Being supernatural beings, elves have unique physical abilities ranging from speed and agility to heightened senses like hearing and sight. Elves are also said to have long lifespans, with some even having immortality. Elves are considered powerful users of magic, capable of casting spells and incantations, kind of like magicians. These include illusions, healing, crafting, elemental spells, and even telepathy. Now, elves also have a deep connection to nature due to them dwelling within wild areas like forests and mountains. As such, they are attuned to nature and can sense whether the land is thriving or in peril. Like human, elves can also use weapons and can craft magical weapons to use in battle. Of these, there are the swords, spears, and the most typical weapon of choice, the bow and arrows. In fact, the British believe that stone arrowheads are fired by both elves and fairies, so this kind of backs up the bow and arrow claims. Then you have some regular magic powers like some species of elves can use. There is the Orang Bunian from Melee that are forest spirits that are invisible to humans and have fast knowledge. Then there is the Tapairu of Magania that are associated with dance and are related to nature. And the light elves from Norse mythology are so strong that they assist the gods. They are also viewed as lesser gods due to their radiant powers and even divinity. So elves are pretty strong. But elves, with as powerful as they are, also have weaknesses to them. Yeah, exactly. They become invisible. Speaking of which, whenever I load this up on YouTube and stuff, there in the description, I'll actually type in the name of all the creatures that I mentioned. That way, if you want to look them up and learn more, you can have that as well. But back to the weaknesses. With them being Faes, they have the big weaknesses against iron and cold iron, just like any other Faes. Second is their reproduction rate. Some elves might reproduce at a slow rate due to their long lifespans. Then again, some of them kinda reproduce normally like humans. Then you also have the fact that they may not be physically strong. Basically, we just need John Cena and an elf go wrestling and stuff, and he'll pretty much take care of it. But jokes aside, another weakness is their own ego. Some elves are prideful beings that can often well, Jesus Louise. Okay. They are prideful beings that will often underestimate humans or other beings during battle. There we go. And finally, some elements like fire can still affect elves, like that of other beings. I don't know why I typed that down. Anyways, I already mentioned a little bit about it before, but the human and elf relationship is kind of like a mixed review. Some good, some bad, and some just straight up horrible. You have some elves that seem to not view humans in a well light and don't really care for them. Some species also seem to be mischievous, like those from Celtics that are known as the Sidhe. I might be pronouncing that wrong, but it's basically the Sidhe. Although they are more fairy-like than actual elves. But anyways, you also got those that are straight up violent to humans, especially those with a hurt pride. This will result in them torturing and killing humans or their livestock. But on the other hand, there are elves like the light elves and Christmas elves that are benevolent beings and have a good relationship with humans. In fact, some humans and elves have fallen in love, got married, and even had half elves. They're the hybrid creatures that I talked about earlier, which you can actually check out on my YouTube page if you want to see about that. Anyways, and vice versa, humans also see elves as either friends or enemies depending on the race. For light elves, humans give them full respect and worship them the same as the gods. This is also due to the fact that some humans that may pass away might return as a light elf, depending on the circumstances. But the relationship between the two has been intertwined for centuries. Yeah, it's like really bad. In fact, if you think that's bad with the torturing, you should check out Fairies. Fairies are actually a whole different breed of menace. But back to the elves. One may believe that elves are so similar to humans that they might be humanoids, but that's actually far from the truth. Elves belong to the kingdom of Faes. Now, Faes are a category of any mythical and magical creatures that are deeply tied to nature and magic. This includes a group of fairies, nymphs, dwarves, leprechaun, gnomes, elemental spirits, and of course the elves themselves. Now, elves are kind of unique in a sense compared to the other Faes, as they are more civilized and can live in similar societies to humans. But with them still being Fae, they live in harmony with nature, whether it be in the forests, hills, caves, or in plains and meadows. But I want to talk about their closest cousins, which is the fairy. These two are vastly different, yet they have so much in common, whether it be their human-like appearances, their connection to different natures, their interaction with humans and other humanoids, or how powerful they can be. Because of some of these similarities, people have blurred the line between the two to the point that some people up to the more modern times that the two are actually one and the same. Oh yeah, I'll be talking about Lord of the Rings in a little bit, because that's actually like a big inspiration for elves. But wait, where was I? Oh, here I am. But despite their similarities, they are still different creatures with different roles in mythology. And of course, you also have some other humanoid-like Faes, like the nymphs, which, while different from elves, they do share some traits. And let's not even talk about the dwarves and elves, because that seem to have some kind of complex history. Anyways, the point I'm making is that elves are separate creatures from other Faes, but share a very large family tree. Now, we all know about the famous elves from Tolkien's Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit, kind of like Arwen and Galadriel, which I think I'm pronouncing that right. And FYI, I've never actually seen any of the Lord of the Rings or The Hobbit, so my knowledge of them is kind of eh. But anyways, there are some famous elves told in modern media, but in mythology, you can have some famous elves that are told far and wide. Of these are the Caipora from the Tupi Guarandi culture. They're a type of natives from Brazil and stuff. Anyways, he's not technically an elf, but he is an elf-like spirit that protects the forest and land from anyone that dares to bring harm. He's usually described looking like an elf or human, except for the fact that he has backwards feet and red hair. Next is the Scottish and England's Queen of Elphame, or Elphame for short. She is a powerful and majestic queen of the Faes, similar to Titania, except she is described as an elf, and doesn't have the whole messy love issue with that Titania's got, you know, with Oberon and stuff. Really bad. Anyways, you also got the Icelandic Hildur story. In this tale, a common girl was married to the king of elves and become the elf queen, but the king's mother disapproved of the marriage and placed a curse on her and her family, where she could only return to her homeland by the cost of a man's life. Very, very dark. Anyways, next up is the Tengte Kacha. This is the story. Oh, hang on a second. Let me rephrase this. In the story of Gurreed of the Garwa people of India, Tenge is an elf queen. He is an elf king. Hang on. There we go. Gotta check the stutters. Anyways, He pretty much aids Gori, the hero god, alongside the dwarf god Ma, in order to slay the gigantic 7-headed primal boar monster, and I'm gonna butcher this name big time, Wakmang-gachi Aragondi. Yeah, I'm gonna put the name in the descriptions and stuff, don't worry about that. Anyways, I'm sure that you guys noticed that the 3 that I mentioned seem to be good beings, whether it be a protector, a queen, and a hero psychic. But the next 2 seems to have a dark aspect of them. And the first one is the Erlking. He is a sinister elf that roams the deep woods of Germany and Denmark, and has been known to snatch away children into his domain, appears as an omen of death, and toy with people. In fact, there is a story where a father and son were hunting into the woods, and the son keeps telling the dad that the Erlking is there. And when the Erlking comes in and whispers to the kid's ear, the father looks around, seeing that his son has passed away. Very, very dark. But anyways, the next one, however, is even more dark. Oh, trust me, this next one is going to be horrible. The next elf is Volund from the Norse poem Volund Dark Frog, which I think I may pronounce that right. Anyways, Volund, aka Raylan the Smith, is a renowned blacksmith elf who unfortunately met hardship and seek vengeance. He was captured and imprisoned by King Niohad, who wanted him to craft jewelry and other fine things. After what I would assume is years of making stuff against his will, he finally had enough and carried out his revenge by first killing the king's sons and turning their skulls and eyes into jewelry for the king and queen as gifts. Then he escapes by making wings to fly out of his prison, and he what's the best way to say this without getting into big trouble? Oh yeah, he had his way, air quotations, with the king's daughter, and then he taunted the kings about his acts before fleeing. So yeah, like I said, very, very dark. However, he did craft the legendary weapons, including the swords that Sigurd and Beowulf used to slay their dragons. Anyways, moving away from the darker aspects of the elves, with how many different elves that there are and how vastly different each cultures tell of them, there are so much to learn about them, including some known and not well known info and facts about them. As such, here are some more fun facts about the elves. Anyways, number 1. Elves actually gained the rise of popularity thanks to the writer J.R.R. Tolkien. With his Lord of the Rings and Hobbit, he popularized the creatures and have forever changed them to become the elves we know of today. The pointy ears, as I mentioned, may have been inspired from the Victoria era in art, but it was Tolkien who popularized the elves with their description of having pointy ears. And, well, that was number 2. Number 3. Tolkien is also the one responsible for the rivalry of the elves and dwarves, which has inspired the storytelling of other series between the two races. Yeah, Tolkien did a lot of stuff for elves. And dwarves, apparently. Number 4. Like fairies, elves also had the practice of kidnapping human children and replacing them with changelings. For whatever reason, one can only tell. Number 5. There is a term called elf shot. It means that whenever a stone arrowhead is found, people believe that it was shot by elves to cause illnesses at cattle. Number 6. Elves have been a great inspiration for art, music, and stories, which I'm sure that one is kind of easy to learn of. Number 7. And this one is actually based off of real historical accounts. In 1930s of Iceland, where the belief of the supernatural is still strong, there was a construction to build a road over Alfhud, or Elf Hill, which is a mount that is famous for being an elf resident. When is it? I don't know. If I were to guess, they use the stories of elves and fairies and stuff to keep children safe and away from the forest. Either that or elves are just Anyways, back to the Elf Hill. When the construction was undergoing, they faced a decade-long delay due to funds, and during the construction, after the decade delayed, the workers faced all kinds of unexplained problems, resulting in the road to be built around it. Then in the 80s, when the road was to be reconstructed to go through the hill again, more problems arose where the drill got broke and everything, and there was no explanation behind that. Because of this, the workers believe that the elves are causing this and refuse to work near Elf Hill. It is now a protected site. So yeah, if you guys ever want to go and try to find some elves, go to Iceland. Actually, no, I'm joking. Please do not do that. I don't want anyone to go missing. And number 8. With this one being, actually, hang on. Before I say this fun fact, which is not really fun, I will say this. I do not condone in any form of terrorists. With that disclaimer out of the way, let me proceed. There is an environmental terrorist group that might have been inspired by the elves called the Earth Liberation Front, or ELF for short, that uses extreme measures like guerrilla warfare and sabotages with their agents known as elves. Yeah, what a bunch of bad elves. See why I had to put the disclaimer? Anyways, elves back in the industrial era were just seen as typical fey creatures that at most were inspirations of art and music. I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know why some people do bad and name it after mythical creatures. I just don't know. But, anyways, they were inspiration of art and music. But it wasn't until J.R.R. Tolkien with his series Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit that made elves into one of the most popular humanoid and fey creatures of modern times. Tolkien was able to idealize the elves, and thanks to him, so many different movies, cartoons, anime, comics and manga, books, video and board games, and even industries have featured elves. A chorus of these medias is Tolkien's series himself, as he made the elves like Arwen, Galadriel, and Celebrimbor that has defined the elf races in the books, movies, and other sources of medias. At least I think. Like I said, I never saw Lord of the Rings or The Hobbit and stuff, so I'm just assuming at this point. Anyways, where was I? Oh, here I am. In movies, you have all kinds of elf or elf-like characters, ranging from the horror Christmas elves of the horror movie Krampus to Dobby the house elf from Harry Potter. And you have the Christmas elf buddy from the comedy movie Elf. I know. Hey, it's my pronunciation problem. And like I said, I don't know the movies, so Dobby. But anyways, like I was saying, you also got the TV series like Netflix Elves, and The Witcher that's got elves that are either friendly or foe. In cartoons, you have characters like oh my goodness, I know my pronunciation problem is gonna make me mispronounce this name, even though I know the character and I've seen the movie so many times. But anyways, this Hermie from Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Like I said, mispronunciation problem. I know. Anyways, you also got the blue elf from American Dragon Shake Long, and Rayla, the moon shadow elf that was a love interest of Callum from the Dragon Prince. Now, before I go into anime and manga, I gotta say that there are a bunch of elves in fantasy, isekai, and other animes with magical creatures. And here are a few of the most well-known elves that I've got here on the list. Oh sure, Ray Dog, go on ahead and add a show to it as well. And a character. I can actually wait about the anime part until I see what you're gonna say. Oh, Supernatural! Oh yeah, that's a good one. You know, strangely enough, I've never seen Supernatural myself. But why did I think of looking on there and seeing if they got any elf characters and stuff? So yeah, we're going to add Supernatural on there as well. Even though I don't know what elf characters are on there. Now then, for the anime characters, you have Frieren, the 1,000-year-old elf that was the main protagonist of Frieren Beyond Journey's End, which is a top-tier anime, by the way. Then you have Amelia's aunt Fortuna, that is an ice magic user from ReZero. By the way, Amelia herself is technically a half-elf, so she doesn't really count on this list. Next is Shira Greenwood, that is a summoner turned servant and how not to summon a demon lord. Then you got Marcel Donato, a spellcasting elf from the Dungeon Mishi series. And you have the high elf archer that says goblins and Goblin Slayer. I'm sorry, I had to do that. And you also got other characters like Tuka from Gate, Puck from Berserk, and Mare and Aura, the twins from Overlord. Let's see. With games, of course, you got the most famous role-playing game, D&D, that's got plenty of elf characters and the race to choose from. Elder Scrolls, World of Warcraft, and Baldur's Gate feature elves like Shadowheart and Sylvanas and their way of life as NPCs. And of course, you have Princess Zelda herself as an elf-like being from the Legend of Zelda series. And finally, you have industries and companies that use the elves as inspiration, of which includes the Elf Beauty that sells cosmetics and skincare, and of course the elf on the shelf that sells elf dolls for Christmas times. Now, to finally wrap everything up, elves have changed over the course of human history, from them being godlike beings of nature to pointy-eared fellows that might be friends or annoying acquaintances. Regardless of whatever they may be, elves have inspired mankind and have become a staple of mythical creatures and human relationships. And one more thing, whether you know of an elf or not, just be kind and treat them the same as any other. Otherwise, you just may face their wild face side. And with that, that concludes the elf. So what do you guys think of these magical creatures? Would you like to befriend one? Would you like to stay away from them, seeing how kind of dark they could be? Or would you think that they would look better with pointy ears? Let me know in the comments section on my YouTube page. Now then, with that, on our next Creature of the Week stream, we are going to be looking at... hang on, let me pull up the thumbnail real quick. Yes, they will kidnap your children if you make them mad. Very, very dark. Now, the next creature that we'll be talking about for our Creature of the Week stream will be a very interesting one. One that has a civilized manner like a man, but a wild and untamed side like that of a horse. I'll let y'all figure that out whenever we get to going on our next Creature of the Week stream. Anyways, I better go on ahead and close this out. That way I can get prepared for my Jujutsu Kaisen stream, which I think I'll start in the next 30 minutes or so. Ah, wait, dog, you was able to figure it out. Good job. And with all of that, let's go on ahead and end this class out, shall we? Thank you all for coming on this fantastic Creature of the Week stream. I hope y'all had as much fun as I did, as we got to learn about the elves and their good and their bad side of way of life. And if you wish to see more of these, check me out on my Twitch page. That's where I do gaming and stuff. Check me out on Twitter, as that's where I do my announcements and pools. And check me out on YouTube, as that's also where I do some other things as well. And with that, I bid the show adieu, and this class adjourn. Oh, thank you so much, Way Dog. And if you don't show up for the JJK stream, you have a good one as well. And with that, I bid this show adieu, and this class adjourn. So see you guys. So long. Bye. Okay, bye.